years to push them back, but we did. What was once a prosperous river trade, the Mississippi, is now the front line. The eastern states supply the river states, and what's left of the UA live out their meager days self-policing. What is the West hiding? Nobody really knows for sure. But we're alive. And this is the new frontier.
Welcome back, everybody, to We're Alive Frontier. Now, before we get started on our story a little bit, we have to do some unfortunate housekeeping. With the loss of Kent, I'm sorry to say that it's going to affect your morale in a pretty terrible way. So I'm going to reduce your morale by at least D3. This is mostly just a way to represent the terrors that you're having to deal with in this world. So 1 morale.
We're sad, but we're using it.
You're using it, yes. And that being said, there's also going to be some reduction of survival points, as he absolutely brought quite a bit to your team. And I'm going to resolve that with 2d6 reduction in survival points. You also handed out a lot of his weapons to the militia. So, 3 survival points.
We did lose his beard.
Too soon, man.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Too soon? All right.
And when we last left you on the story, you were taking your militia out to assess just how much you have to face against the armies of Summerfield and Legatus Kalar. As the group spills out before you, you look behind you, and while a sizable force has been amassed, and you do know that the villa provides a significant amount of population of Osage, it's not as big as you hoped. You know? I would say that you, at this point, you might be able to meet them 2-1.
What are we in terms of armaments?
All simple weapons, no armor.
It may be useful to us to try to find and scrounge any armaments we can.
At the palace, there were things that we've yet to use.
All right. So is this essentially a way that you would like to try to armor, resupply, and reinforce your militia at this stage?
Yes. We also have people from River Run that we're expecting will...
To come.
Yeah, to come.
Yes.
What would you like the militia to do in the meantime?
Come with us, because we'll hand out weapons when we arrive.
To Kamon's palace?
Yes.
So a march to Kamon's palace it is.
Roughly how far is that?
About a block away.
I tell the people we're going to get weapons.
All right.
And armor.
Well, don't promise the armor.
You all start moving
Carefully.
In a controlled mob. It's kind of how I view this at the moment. As you walk up a block and then cut across kitty corner, going to Kamon's palace. At that point, you see the front of the palace laid out, and it seems to be completely deserted, the front. As you see the windows and boarded up doors, the glyphs of Kamon that are on different pillars as part of this giant, tall government building are a reminder of just how little time has passed as you approach the main steps of the government building.
Well, for now, let's go in. Just make sure they're there. Apollo's there, you know.
Absolutely.
Right.
So you bang on the door, and nobody answers. Make a spot listen check.
Everyone or just me?
Everybody.
4 degrees of failure.
1 degree of failure.
2 degrees of success.
4 degrees of failure.
Okay. You hear nothing.
Yeah.
Your spidey sense is tingling. Chateau, something isn't right here. You left this place with a guard. Someone should be watching the door. Something's wrong.
I move like along the walls and sort of, you know, get the crossbow out. Kind of.
We could approach from the garden side.
I also sort of like motion for the militia not to get too open in case somebody like opens the window and just starts spraying. So it's
Right.
not
So
sort of,
scatter a little bit.
Because there was groves of trees outside because
Yeah.
where everybody was waiting, like kind of
Take cover, yeah.
trees. You watch as the militia starts to basically come into small pockets of people as they attempt to find cover anywhere that they possibly can. It's so still around this side of the palace where you are, punctuated by the occasional songbird that's been sitting inside of the passage of the trees or where the fruit trees are, where people are hiding around. But being at this building and having it be this quiet, it's unnerving.
continuity question. I believe I'd sent Paulo to River Run. I believe I personally sent him there. Correct? All right. Okay. So, but we had left guards to hold it, but
You left guards over, but Paulo specifically went to River Run.
right. But we bought the 2 shotguns. We gave him one and Kink him
And
one.
I believe you also gave him just signs of Kamon's defeat. I
Yes.
think
Yes,
vaguely.
yes.
So
If they've retaken the building, how hard should we fight to take it back? It is an important symbol.
And also, any potential armaments we could have found inside may now be in the hands of enemies who will use them against us.
Let's take it.
At least look a little closer. Look at it like
You're gonna- the door.
So we saw before where the doors had been bashed open and then we fixed them. Is there any sign that like they've been repaired again? Like is there any sign like of fresh patchwork or anything?
The doors are shut, and from this side, there would have been the very apparent points of impact in which they were barreling down the doors. And if you would press on the door, it would not open immediately, no.
When we left, I told some people to attempt to draw out those faithful to Kamon, to lull them into a false sense of security. Perhaps they were overly successful.
Before the only meaningful ways in were this front door and the rear, correct?
There are vulnerabilities from the garden side.
And we carefully head that way to look to see.
As you attempt to go around the building, you, again, still and quiet, you hear the occasional crunch as your feet find asphalt or bark mulch. As you click around the side, the grass shifts as you move your way around the side of the building. And as you peer around, you look to find several long pairs of dangling rope that seem to be hanging down from the second-story balcony. And their small coiled rope is laid out at the bottom of the government building.
Is there any way to tell from the ground around it before we disturb it too much if these were people that fled and climbed a rope and bailed, or if these are people that like threw a hook and went up? Is there any meaningful way to know?
There's no meaningful way to know.
Yeah, I mean, I know about climbing, so I don't know if I'd recognize.
You would just see that it's attached. It's extremely hard to tell whether it was attached because someone placed it there and went down, or if somebody scooped it up. If you were probably up where the hook was, that might gleam a little more information.
Like, perhaps we should climb up, leave someone below to cover the others as we climb.
The back doors, by the way, the ones that you were discussing, seem to be untouched. Locked.
If people inside were trying to escape, why would the enemies leave the ropes?
Right.
Yeah. Perhaps they're still alive. Perhaps we could rescue them. Hope springs a turtle.
And I don't like this. I worry that we will risk our own lives and those of the few people we have been able to bring over to our cause.
The only other option is to abandon it and just go to River Run.
We could check the rail driver as well. There were compartments, hidden ones, that perhaps those have not been looted.
There's that pipe bomb in there. Not in the rail driver, in...
It's in there.
If there's any consolation, it does not appear that there is any external structural damage from an explosion going off or anything.
Right. I'm worried that they just have it. That they're...
I worry that we will be too greedy and we will think too much of what we could gain and not focus on what we could lose.
Yeah, I go back towards the militia.
Right? You see people are still sitting around the trees going, Choctaw, what are we doing? we taking the palace or not?
Where is the govman?
Govman's not there. He isn't with the militia. But you hear someone who goes, I think he's still back in the villa trying to rally more troops.
Kalarm's men, they were followers of Kaimon before.
Yes.
And Kaimon told his people that he commanded supernatural powers.
Yes.
Would it be effective to use this storm to attack at the height of the storm?
Would either navigation or survival give me any insight into, like, is the wind blowing this way-ish? Is it blowing that way-ish?
You don't really need special skills to tell where the wind is blowing. Right. But if you wanted to try to make a survival check to predict the weather, I would allow that.
I would like to try. I spend a lot of time alone in these woods, so, you know.
And also, too, we don't need the benefit of the storm.
Gotta roll the bones. The bones have betrayed me. Actually, it's a push.
It's a push?
Yeah, it's not.
So it's hard to tell, Chato, exactly where the storm's going to turn, but you can tell that the smoke, which is still very much north, as well as the clouds circulating, it is making bad weather. At the moment, though, the wind is blowing north, away from the city.
We can't tell when the weather will arrive, and we can't tell if it will be a aid or a hindrance. I wouldn't wait for it.
If psychological of effect of it could be valuable.
If Great Spirit sends the rain, Great Spirit will send the rain.
Between the rail driver, the retaking of the palace, or at least investigating the palace, because you really don't know what's happened inside of there.
I want to investigate it.
Sure. Well, you're the climbing expert then, Wraith. You climb the rope, we'll cover you from the
I
ground.
don't want to make. I don't know. I don't want to make you do it.
Are you volunteering?
I think I have a pretty decent climb.
I'm decent climb also.
I won't let you go alone. If you decide that we're investigating, we all go together.
It's one rope or two.
One.
Yeah, I'm literally just like, while someone's climbing, in case somebody pokes their head out with a hatchet or something, to be like,
Right.
If
Flame
you
on.
don't want to do this, we're not going to do it. If you have a feeling that
Well, what's your argument? What do we stand to gain?
if there's, I don't know if it's just abandoned, I just want to give some place.
If our people abandoned it, there's nothing there for us. If it was looted and is currently controlled by the hand of Kaimon, again, there's nothing for us but danger there.
If it were controlled by the hand of Kaimon, they would be making quite a show of having retaken his palace.
That is true.
They would not be subtle. I'll go up the rope.
Climb.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys cover me.
All right, we're covering him.
I do incredibly well. I'm like a spider monkey up the rope.
So,
With my tomahawk and my teeth.
I actually like to hear this full story of how you was like, fuck it, I'll go.
Right.
And then go for it.
I look at you while you guys are discussing, and I'm just like, no. Those people stood over me while I was unconscious. They held that door, and they said they would hold this place. If there's any chance that they're alive, I have to know.
Yeah.
And I really do put my tomahawk in my teeth, because I'm planning on swinging if somebody comes out and just
Yeah.
sort of...
Yeah.
All right. You use your powerful upper body strength to pull yourself up the 15, 20 feet as you huff yourself kind of over the railing.
Since I succeeded so well, is there anything I can do to maybe make it a little easier for them?
I was gonna say, I kind of just
I
want
would
to follow.
suggest saving anything you got for if you need to do anything defensively when you get to the top.
I mean, I don't know how long I can bank them. That's
No,
really
that's
up to you.
since it is done so well, we can talk about narrative benefits. I'm trying to find out what narrative benefits or just things that you have. So,
you could have done it very quietly.
I would just
quietly is perfect.
Quietly.
with-
Okay. So I did it.
Yeah, you did it.
I did it quietly.
Yes.
I did it fast.
Fast.
Did it fast.
Like I said, climbing 15 to 20 feet up quickly.
You did
Yeah.
it pretty.
You can recover.
Did it with style.
You
No,
can
sorry.
recover the grappling hook if you'd like to use it.
I will after they come up at a course.
Because I think I want to follow up as soon as I see him going up. I just
Okay. Then for that, you can basically give her. You can pass over degrees of success if you like.
because I had.
You know, hang on. Let me maybe not use the grappling hook yet. I might need to help a homie here. But something like.
Yeah, I had 4 degrees of failure.
I mean, I don't want to be too retro, but she was right behind me. If I realized she's struggling like that, I would cash in everything, even if I had to be like, yeah,
Sure. No, it's fine.
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
this is
So-
all simultaneous. If
Right,
you want to
yeah.
just use the 4.
So I went up.
Yeah.
I helped.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
All right. Burn it
Well,
all.
I had one success as well, so.
Then you can go up.
Well, I'll go last.
You make a wash onto it. I'd love to hear narratively how that's explained out, and I assume Wraith is behind as well, too.
Yes. So I end over end because I'm very much motivated, and I turn around and I see my good friend maybe didn't know what I was thinking because I didn't really say.
Yeah.
And she's sort of like scrambling because as I'm climbing so quickly, the rope's like blah.
I stamp on the end of the rope
Right.
to anchor it.
And I turn and I sort of like, as she's grabbing, I sort of like pull gently because I know he still needs to climb it.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of somewhat trying to bring
Yeah,
her
you
up
pull up
higher.
the length while she's making the climb as
So
well.
then
too.
I actually just kind of hold there and let it take me.
Yeah.
All right. And as you hold on, he lifts you up. It drops back down, and Wraith makes his climb up. And all 3 of you make it to the top of the.
And then we pull it up behind us.
We definitely pull it up behind us.
Yeah.
This is the riverside, right? Mm-hmm.
You have a great view of the Missouri, as well as the smoking wall that is currently laid out in front of you.
I want to examine the grappling hook and confirm that it was people breaching, and not people just using this grappling hook and thing to get down.
Make a search check.
I
or
can't use
investigation.
climb because I know
Yeah,
so much
whatever
about
you're
climbing.
best at, climb's good too.
He's like a climbing expert.
Yeah.
He's like a spider monkey.
Oh, that's not great. 1 degree of failure.
Too hard to tell.
Yeah.
Could be
It's
anything.
splintered.
Yeah.
And I just want to pull out my rifle and just make sure everything's looking good. I'm ready for
Ready
it
to investigate. Awesome.
When we come in, if it's not clearly obvious that there's hostiles, I actually want to go straight to the door to open the door for the militia.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So as you
So I mean, we're clearing to the door.
yeah, you're clearing to the door.
Unbar the door.
You clear through the door without much difficulty.
Right.
You
open
come
that.
down.
But as they're coming in with like,
Yeah. As everyone's kind of sweeping around, you get reports back from your militia that the governor's office, which is this, essentially looked like it had been breached and barricaded. Someone had come and climbed through, and there was definitely a fight. There was a struggle, there was a fight, but you've managed to find everybody at the bottom where originally you and Chato were going to go through the tunnel system. Like they basically found themselves down, and you found a last stand in which several bodies were piled up where this iron grating was, or this like blast door that was there, and you found the huddled remains of the survivors of the people that you left off.
So there were survivors.
There were survivors.
Okay.
still alive.
Still alive.
Oh.
Not many.
Okay.
Right.
2 or 3 out of your original group, and they see you, and they're just so glad. They have been terrified to leave. They've been there basically all night and have been unable to do it, and they explained about how, in the dead of night, Kamon's forces breached and came and caught them completely off guard, and they fought their way down to where the blast room is because they did not want to open the doors. And there they did everything they could to hold off. When men left to go open the doors, they assaulted them and managed to kill them all.
So the things that were here before, because there were still dry food stores, there were water stores. If they didn't make it out of the building, is all that stuff still in the building?
Still in the building.
Can I immediately find that pipe bomb as well, and I stash it somewhere with me?
Right where you left it.
Okay.
Hand out some of the food, break these people off some water because the water's not flowing right now.
No.
What amount of survival points do we need to spend to... I know they have improvised weapons, but maybe like some better knives, maybe just a handgun or 2, like something.
For the entire militia?
No.
Whatever we can get. I mean,
Realistically.
There's a few adjustments that I would need to make. So if you want to basically arm your militia with simple weapons, using the resource catalog that's available to you in the palace, I would say that probably would cost around 20, just to make sure everybody has some kind of simple weapon.
Let's do it.
If you want to pepper guns in there and have something a little more viable or deadly,
Yes.
that isn't what you hold, it's going to cost 30.
Yep.
Yep.
We're doing it.
Spend it, it's worth it.
yeah.
All right.
Can't spend it if we're dead.
So you hand out all simple weapons, and in addition, as many firearms as you can possibly spare with ammo, that you basically empty the entire armory.
And we very much make a big deal about the fact that this is to protect yourselves and your families.
Yes.
Like this is for your future well-being,
Yeah.
not just today, but forever.
Before they started doing that, I come to Chato and Jenny, or actually one of you probably notices that I'm looking like punchy.
Especially because
Right.
I checked you out.
Yeah.
And before you can even say anything, I say, go rest. We can handle this.
Yes.
I need you
I
at the
will
top
be.
of your game. Yeah.
And when I wake up, we're going to solve this.
But you go sleep in the very, very dark, underground kind of safe room, the panic room.
Yeah. I mean, I'm basically just kind of like in a fetal position in the corner, like with my head down and my hood up, and I'm just
Resting.
out.
Yeah. Caught. Let me explain how strongholds work, because we tapped it into it a tiny bit, but you guys really didn't get a full assessment of what the palace was before you were off and gone again out to Heisenberg. But now that you actually have a group of people and stuff is in here, your stronghold has stats very similar to how you as people do. So think of each one of your stronghold stats much like the number that would be on one of your skill checks. Okay? It's supposed to be in a 1 to kind of 100 category. The better it is, the more you have to pull from, or the more it affects the things that you do in a stronghold. The stronghold has basically 7 stats. All right? And I'm going to tell you what those stats are for your palace. Now, let me clarify that you literally have a giant government building. So,
As one is wont to do.
as one is wont to do. Right now, the size of your stronghold is about 85. Now, I've reduced that a little bit based on just how much the doors have been breached, as well as the windows over the course of time. You're basically taking up an entire city block. So, which is about accurate. You have a giant building. You're essentially holding a mansion, all right? The structure, however, is 50. It's not made of steel. It's not made of anything other than wood and plaster. The science of it is about 60. And there's libraries. There is places to read, and has a little bit of a place where you could do a little science if you need to. Its viability is 70. That's mostly because the infrastructure and trade around it is so good, and the fact that it's next to Osage Villa, which has a self-sustaining source of food. The culture of it is 60. Historically, the building's very well preserved, and the area around it is nice. At least it's what's well taken care of. But it has Kamon's influence all over it. So it doesn't make it very cozy. It just makes it very comfortable. The morale of this place is 30. Essentially, that is the lowest and most difficult stage that you're at right now, because everybody's on the brink of war. And no one's feeling very much like tomorrow's a better day. They have hope in their hearts, but it's rough. And before you brought the militia in, your population was only 3. Essentially, you had a small, 3 very small teams of people that you could bring out. But if you choose to move people from the Osage Villa Community Center into this stronghold, the population will change.
Is it viable that like the people we saw, we could bring them in, or is
You
it?
could bring them in and you can make them part of this stronghold's population. That will change the viability of the place. Viability, though, however, is mostly how much food you have available to take care of people in a self-sustaining manner.
Realistically, does this place seem more defensible than Osage Villa was?
Osage Villa was essentially a giant open air market.
Right.
With several doors that were open and closed. The one interesting thing about Osage is that no one's been building walls for years because they have not been afraid of the Chenoo.
Oh, I'm aware of the walllessness of the city.
Yes.
Painfully aware.
In fact, the only place that does seem to have a wall around it, Summerfield, which does have at least simple walls that connect buildings together so that it is a little more defensible.
Was that all the stats before I start barking orders?
Yeah, bark orders.
I think we should establish a watch rotation. I'm not saying do it yet. I'm
Yes.
consulting with counsel.
Yes.
I think honestly, we probably talk before you go to sleep. At least just so we all know what's up. If that's all right, I
No,
don't know if we
he's
want.
asleep.
Oh,
It's
okay,
okay.
fine.
We'll make
Okay, cool.
decisions.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll make decisions. The
I
cost
trust you.
of.
We're gonna establish a watch.
Okay.
I think
Hood
we
watch.
Hood watch.
I'm out.
We should send 10 armed people to escort the people from Osage Villa back, so they're not beset upon. So just Darren Mack again, basically, to get them here to safety.
Wait. So you're sending 10 armed people back to Osage
Villa
to be like, hey,
to
we're
escort
we're good. Come
people
over here.
safely here
Okay.
to come and be here where we are.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the old guard, the ones that fought and held the place, make sure they sleep through the night. They don't do any more work.
Right. Hollow has not returned, by the way.
Okay. We'll find him at a dramatically appropriate time.
Yeah. He's yeah. Okay.
And final thing is we need to figure out who we can really trust to make sure no more collaborators come in with these refugees, because that's the reality of it, is they can
Right.
still come in and try and do more dirt.
I'm okay. I'm okay staying up, and how long is this going to take with people trickling in? I mean, because I can be there too to screen people and ask questions and.
Maybe I'll send word to Gov Dave to leave a rear guard at Osage Villa and instruct him to leave anyone he's not too sure about as the rear guard.
Right.
Like the 3 guys that were up on you and we weren't too sure about, like
Sure.
those guys get to be guardians of their home now.
All right.
I would like to exert those things.
Your plan is to set a watch.
Set a watch.
Then you want to have an armed patrol bring as much population out of Osage Villa as possible. And then you want to establish your rear guard of people who you think are not as trustworthy, so to speak. So you want to rally as many specialists as you can.
At least know who we've got access to, even if we don't make use of them now as such.
Well, definitely the community center had a wide range of specialists, but most of Osage would be it's essentially a mercantile village. It's a community center. You know, we can take some time through the evening in order to specialize that. And I'm sure GovMan can inform a little bit of who is special. But I just want to ask one question. Is there anyone in particular who you're looking for right now?
Particularly looking for a medic.
Medic.
Anyone who might particularly be like a very good fighter, like a Marine from the old world, or like a UA refugee, or like some man that we could have a reasonable, or woman, to have a reasonable expectation of being good in a fight.
Okay, so you specifically looking for anyone who might be good on the battlefield.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I will roll up just how possible that is while you all have a restful evening. Is that the plan?
I think even we sleep in shifts, though. We're going to let Wraith sleep through the night, but maybe
Right.
the 2 of us are sort of like, we'll watch each other.
Okay. Well, you also have the militia as well, too. All right.
We've had mixed success with
Trust
these
no
people.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, then let's see what you were able to rally. Roll the 4.
Hey!
So with that, GovMan does you one, a big one. And he not only tells you who's all specialized inside of the community center, but he brings the roster, which is his book of records of all of the vendors, what they're selling, and what service they provide in the community center. He sends it back to you so that you can provide a strong assessment of who is worth it. So you do see a couple of people who are not necessarily doctors, but do have medical experience. You see a couple of herb traders, as well as people who have some frontier medicine experience are available. You see a lot of blacksmith and artisans and weapon vendors who have trained fighting experience are also available as well, too. So it's a pretty sizable resource.
I do not want to wake Wraith, but I give the most competent healer instructions that, like, in the morning when he wakes up, take a look at him.
Okay.
See if you can help.
And you do sleep in shifts, so not the full 8 hours. So you have the equivalent of a short rest, right?
Yes.
So if you have any superficial damage that's less than your strength bonus, you may take it off.
And she's got her early bird mechanic thing. I'm actually all right now.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Yeah.
Great.
Although
So
I will let her take the first watch, so approaching dawn, she would be...
approaching dawn, she'd be awake.
Right, she'd be great.
So early bird. To the dawn of the 5th day, approaches you. Wraith, you may take off one die result of your choice.
I'm going to say that any residual effect of the burning from the heat
Has been taken care
has
of.
been taken off. Yeah.
So you just have 5 that you're holding on to at the moment.
Yeah, from when I kicked that infected over my shoulders and fell back against that little wall from last night's.
So you're sitting
fight.
on 5
I'm sitting on 5. Yeah.
at this moment. You two have both done what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get to the roof and just use my rifle and look through the scope just to look around. I just want to see if there is anything to see.
Now, I also probably when I wake up, I would want to try to use one of my coping mechanisms to restore some morale. And then I noticed that I remember that I don't have my
Your
iPod.
iPod with you. Yeah.
But I mean, another coping mechanism I do have is performing my pagan rituals. So could I do a short one of those to
What?
try to regain a point of morale?
You know, it's a little early to be able to go straight into taking care of the mourning of Kent. Maybe time to mourn and bury him. I'm not saying you can't do one of your pagan rituals. I actually think you should, and you could. And if that's how you're going to mourn Kent's passing, then by all means. Is that something you'd like to do in the morning while everyone is
Well,
wrestling
actually,
about?
I want to do it in 2 parts. I want to prep his body for it, but I want him to kind of lay in state
I see.
here, for a while, and then I basically want to promise him that once I get everybody else back together, that's only then will we
you
actually
mourn.
bury him together.
So this is actually excellent to know, because I was wondering how and where and what we were going to be doing with Kent's body.
Yeah.
At this point, as you are walking out to go collect his body, which is at the villa, by the way, across the street. As you are kind of walking over to where it is, you see something out in the middle of the Lewis and Clark expedition.
Where's that?
So do you remember where the showdown was? In the front of the government building?
Okay.
Where that monument to the Lewis and Clark expedition was?
Okay, gotcha.
You see something laid out in the middle of that small circle where you remember that Chateau and Gaemon fought. And you see a body lying on the floor out in the middle of nowhere.
All right. I'm not going to approach it.
Sure.
Seems a little too sketchy. Can I try to identify it from this distance? See
You
what I
can
can
look
see?
at it. It is, let me see actually exactly who it is. You recognize Paulo laying on the ground. He seems not to be moving at the moment. And he's just perfectly there. You can also see that several candles have been lit, and there's a circle around him, and you can see blood has essentially marked the sigil of Caemon that he is laying right on top of.
He's gone now. There's nothing I can do for him. I'm going to try to move on and try to just pick up Kent's body.
You go grab Kent's body,
Yeah.
and you bring it back to the palace.
Yeah. In general, I'm moving in a way that doesn't draw attention to my presence, using crowds or anybody who's around.
Yeah, there's people who are definitely giving it a breath. There's some people who are looking at it and they see this, they hurry their step a little more when
Yeah.
they see that this other symbol has just been dropped right down there.
Should that have been within view of the watch? Should anybody on watch have been able to see that?
In the dead of night, I rolled to see if they would see if anyone came out. No.
Okay.
It also has pretty good tree coverage as well, too.
Right.
It's far enough away from the building.
So basically, it wouldn't be indicative of they were collaborating and not saying anything. They probably just genuinely didn't see.
Genuinely didn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this, I'm assuming you're bringing this news back to Chateau.
Yeah, I return with Kent's body, and I lay it out on a spot. I find an office or something in the building, and I make sure it's all wrapped up tight properly. Yeah, and then I go find Chateau and Jenny. I don't know. Did that doctor find me at any point? Either?
I'm actually going to retcon, because thinking about this roll, it was a 24 that I rolled to kind of see just how important this person was. I don't think it necessarily has to be Paulo, now that I'm thinking about it more.
Okay, because that will make a difference in how I how I portray this to these other people.
Let's see who we
And I'm
got.
not with Chato at the moment.
No, she's,
I'm
okay.
she's on the roof, yeah.
looking around, seeing.
You know, there's no reason
All
to
right.
backtrack once it's been said.
Could be
I'll
just
stick to my
another guy
guns.
that looks like me, because they're leaving effigies.
They are leaving effigies. They are. That's a good point. As you are walking around, you do see another man laid out on a sigil of Kaimon that's been marked with blood. And you do see a similar effigy as when you saw him laid out in the Wall of Death. It is another body with traitor written right on the front of his face. As this man is splayed out with his organs pulled out and laid out in front on the area in front of the expedition monument.
Okay. So yeah, when I return, I find Chato, and I say, I brought back Kent's body, and once we are reunited with our friends, we will honor him together. But he's not the only one we lost. There was another person who looked like you, who has been very publicly displayed in Lewis and Clark Square.
I dispatched some people to carefully dispose of the body not here. I warned them that it may be trapped, honestly, so proceed with caution.
Right.
And just take his body away. Under no circumstances bring it into this building.
Right.
Like, we'll bury him properly later.
As you send these people off, you warn them that it could potentially be trapped. And as you continue the rest of the morning, it is still morning, you know. There is a doctor who
Yeah.
checks in with you, and he is the same whittler that you saw who owned the toy shop inside of the villa earlier.
Okay.
And he comes up and recognizes you and says, "Sit down and see what I can do." He has this weird, awkward, well, let's just say he's not acknowledging the elephant in the room.
Kent's body?
Yeah.
All right. Can I make some sort of check to try to, like, I'm suspicious now that I'm seeing him again.
Yeah, we don't leave him alone.
I don't
with
know-
the doctor.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any
Sure.
connection to this guy. So
Absolutely. So what are you asking for? You're looking for a motive?
yeah, I'm just trying to see if he seems nervous or deceptive or any way, like looking for hidden weapons.
How'd you do?
Not great. I rolled a 90, and my spot listen, or actually maybe detect motives is probably better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 5 degrees of failure for me.
He does not seem to be nervous in the way that he is not acknowledging the body. It's just more this thing that happened just yesterday with this generosity of Jenny and you taking stuff and the fact that you kind of bought out all of his toys. The death is kind of striking him just not as much as you are, obviously, but it's just kind of an awkward situation that he's next to the body and that he knows you.
Okay.
Is what it comes down to.
When
But-
you drink that rum, think of him.
Hey, I'd rather not talk about it. He rolled a 19 for a first aid for you. For him, unfortunately, that is only 4 degrees of success.
So it's not enough to fix my...
Not quite enough to fix that last one. This is a terrible world. But my only hope has been to try to bring a tiny bit of joy. And you would be amazed at how resilient children are. They don't know that there were better times. So, if we get through this, I'm going to build something. I don't know what it is. A memorial, a care center, a school. I don't know what it is. But I'm going to do something. Instead of just making toys. Toys are temporary. We can do better. And I know that now. Thank you. And sorry I can't do more for your back. It looks like you've impacted it something fierce. Getting in any deeper would involve potentially hurting you more. This is a little advice, but try not to bend over too much.
Before we leave, I just say, stay here, friend. Unfortunately, I think we'll need your skills many more times before the day's over.
Well, I have as much supplies as I'll need now for the moment, and I'll work until the supplies are out. That's the best I can. I have a few orderlies at this stage now, but we'll stay in here until the day is done.
Let's go look for Jenny.
Yeah.
So, Jenny, as you
Yeah.
climb up to the top of the government building, The best way to get the best vantage point you can is to actually go up to the topmost floor of one of the offices, climb out the window, and then go sit upon a perch that's laid out generously over a part of the city. So, as you basically open up the windows and climb out and step along the side, you feel like a gust of wind kind of blow your hair as you're sitting upon the steepled tower of this magnificent government building. And you sit on the ledge and you pull your rifle out and you start scanning the area around Osage. What are you looking at first?
Which direction is Summerfield again?
Summerfield is
To the east.
east.
I look east first.
As you look out towards Summerfield, you see the large apartment building that you know is housing Kamon's Hand. And this tower is imposing as it's kind of like the other largest structure besides the government building that you're currently facing. And below, you can see a marching column of armed individuals. At least 120 souls. They seem to be moving along a block. It looks almost like a small demonstration march. And the first thing that strikes you is how they're walking in columns in kind of perfect marching order. And you can see that some of them have frilled headdresses and they seem to be carrying banners that have Kamon's sigil onto them. And one man is on a horse who seems to be leading forward.
How
the
close is he?
charge. You could take a shot if you wanted, but it's going to be a tough shot.
Okay. I take that in,
Yeah?
and then I scan west over where the rail driver is.
You look over to where the rail driver is, and a lot of the government building is essentially blocking it. The rail driver is still exactly where it was, lifted up with a bus literally all up in its grill.
It's a technical term for
Technical
what
term.
happened. Yeah,
Yeah, that's apt.
The stuff has settled around it, and it just seems to still be a broken, ruined thing laid out on the middle of the rail line. It's even farther away. It's like way farther away than even Kalar's column is marching. Yeah.
I look north, where the storm is.
As you look north, you first assess the storm, and you can see that it has cleared up significantly. There isn't a whole lot of the darkened clouds that you saw yesterday. The weather is still, as it kind of seems, well, if I may, the darkened horizon seems to have cleared up, and while there are still patches of smoke that you see have lifted, you actually see that a lot of it has gone farther north than even the distance that you can judge at this stage. But you do see the blackened expanse of what this fire has done to all of the fields laying up north, and you do see just charred land laid out for hundreds and hundreds of feet across the north of the Missouri River. You know, it's very apparent that many buildings were destroyed. All of the fields were overrun with flames. And you see a herd of buffalo that seem to be roaming across the plains north of where the freeway is.
Can I do a spot listen to see if there's just anything, like, there's this part of me that's hoping. Fuck!
There's an explosion rings out everywhere across the area as you can hear the cacophony of the explosion just come around behind you. You whip around and you see a dark plume of smoke lifting up, and small pellets of concrete are clacking down as the Lewis and Clark expedition has just been completely torn apart at this point, and there's a small blackened crater that's laid out right in the middle of the monument,
Where the body was?
right where the body was.
So we're up there now with her, right?
I mean, she's the only one that was. You
Well,
guys heard the
we-
explosions from inside.
We did say we're looking for Jenny, so have we
We
arrived?
were going up to meet her.
Yeah.
If I can still see, I mean, I want to whip around. If I can still see the columns marching, and if I can still see the guy on the horseback,
Yeah.
like, seems to be leading this, I just want to take a quick shot at him.
All right.
If I can see, if I don't know
Well,
what the smoke is.
The smoke and the noise has definitely just shook everybody apart. But as you peer down, you can see that the man has completely taken off to where the horse is. He's basically, he has ducked around behind his reserves, and you just cannot see the man on the horse anywhere anymore. You've lost sight of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look for you guys.
Well, you two, poking your head out.
All right, we make our way up. What was that? Did you see?
Just an explosion right there, but there's 120 men marching this way.
Can I take the 30-aught from her and look through the scope in the direction she's talking about?
Yeah, you've confirmed the men lining
Yeah.
up on columns.
I'm scanning. Oh, it looks like they've formed some sort of column, like a Roman legion.
To what extent can we put people in the windows along this building to be firing from inside the building?
Easily.
Right.
You can pry off whatever makeshift defenses that originally were put on there.
We have the luxury of defense, might as well use it, put people in windows shooting. How many floors is this building, roughly?
I believe it's 4 stories. Only 2 of those stories are made up of its pagoda. I believe otherwise it's a 2-story building with several windows overlooking it, because all office windows.
That explosion came from the Lewis and Clark Square.
Yes.
Those are more men that I have sent to their death. I told them to go retrieve that body.
We told them to retrieve the body.
And as the smoke is beginning to clear, you, well, summer's coming.
People in windows, tell them, it's time.
It's time.
It's time.
So everyone with a gun is going to basically man a station at a window, whether they have a handgun,
Yeah.
or whether they have a long gun,
Yeah.
or whether they have a shotgun.
Right. I don't actually want to come out and fight in the square until we have to.
Great. Otherwise, you're taking all the rest of your men and you're putting them on the ground floor
Right.
with their simple weapons,
Right.
hoping to hold the gate.
Put some people on every door, in case they sneak around and come in the back type
Every
thing.
door.
And when we were down, we were pretty sure downstairs was secure because of the gate or whatever, right? That didn't seem. I mean, we saw it. Does it seem like the type of place that needs to be manned, where they held up and made their last stand, and we knew there was the grating?
Oh,
to the-
downstairs?
Yeah.
Like in the bottom?
Yeah.
Because there's a part that connected to the sewers.
That is a part connected to it, which you guys haven't checked out yet. You slept down there, and there
We
was...
went through there when we went to go, and we went a certain direction. I got us lost, and we found that sinkhole.
Right.
And then we came back.
Yes.
And we closed up after ourselves.
And that's the last you saw of it.
I thought when we were securing the place yesterday, I think we said we were going to try to make sure that any access points are, covered.
Including that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll pile up. I'll have people piling up furniture down there. Worst case, just
Okay.
jam
Sure.
stuff over those gates and grates.
Sure. So you're going to go down and you're going to throw a bunch of stuff. Or you're going to close that, because remember, it's a panic door.
Right.
So you could close the panic door as well, too. That's leading from inside the panic room to the hallway.
But to be clear, the grates open up into the panic room, right? So they could open it.
Yes.
Right. So it wouldn't.
But the panic room leading out into the building
right.
is a giant steel door.
But
Why does a panic room have access to the sewer tunnels?
to escape?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Normally leaving is good, but things coming in is bad.
Right.
Does that door swing out or
It swings from the hallway into the panic room.
No, we need to barricade the grates. I mean,
Barricade the grates.
Right. I just order some people, barricade the grates.
Barricade the grates. Okay.
Keep a couple people down there to at least give a shout if it looks like they're coming up through the sewers.
Great. Okay.
Right.
So you are going to put some men down,
Yep.
barricade the grates,
Yep.
and put a few men down there just to cover it.
Yeah. At least 2 or 3 people on every door.
Great. Okay.
It's yell and shoot if you see something type thing.
Yes. As you do that, enough time passes because they have to take the walk about half an hour. Basically goes as you start getting to a standstill, in which the 120 men, start to make a small arc around the edge of the government building.
I want to start shooting people.
Yeah, it was if you have a
I want
shot,
to start
how are they
shooting
armed?
if you
people.
have a shot, take it.
All right.
How are they armed? These
They're all.
Legionnaires.
Most of them have guns.
That's not good.
So, but some of them, and if they don't, they are well armored.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
That's where they are. Shoot. By all
Okay,
means.
I want to find whoever looks like a leader.
The most frilliest
Perfect.
As people are forming up in the windows, I'm on her mark.
on her mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they know we're shooting when the 30-06 goes off, basically.
Okay. Shoot.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
Wasted.
Fire into it.
Okay, that's 2 degrees of success.
Ooh. I'm also shooting.
With your crossbow?
Yeah.
From the window?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm doing a pretty good job of it.
That's great. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd like to just spend my degrees of success on damage.
Okay, cool.
We're gonna deliver our terms.
Yes. Deliver your turns.
Okay.
So roll them.
Ooh.
Discard any dice that are 1s or 2s.
Okay.
Could I have
Here's the
could I-
dice.
yeah.
How many do you need?
A bunch.
14 is the damage I
14?
rolled.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh, he's super dead. 3 exploded. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's super dead.
No, he's super dead. Like, he might have put the... Well, I'm not even going to say what I think might have happened, but this dude is, like, very dead.
Remember, 2s and what need to be discarded?
yeah,
Ones and
discard
2s
what?
need to be
1s and
discarded.
2s.
Okay? He's still super dead, though.
And you said you got 14, and then what's your total?
43.
With a crossbow?
Because fuck that guy.
To go through like they're in columns.
I know you were excited to narrate it, and that you didn't want to narrate it, but narrate it.
Do I see the man on the horse?
No, you don't see the man on the horse.
Okay.
So.
Just the most ornate guy I can see.
Right.
Right? So I come through the window and I wait. So the helmet's got like Kamon sigil on it, right?
Well, it has it painted on the front, and it is apparently like a very decorated plume. Yes.
So the crossbow hits with such violent accuracy that I
Yes.
hit it right in the symbol, and his head snaps back so much the helmet goes tumbling backwards and just cartwheels through their ranks
As
of
he
the
falls
helmets.
straight
He
down to the
falls
ground.
straight down dead.
So the first shot of Jenningsburg has begun. So I'm going to take your meager survival points and remove them, and instead replace it with the amount of people that you now have to deal with in this siege. So might be a little numbery, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm rolling for your support at this moment, or at least we're going to see the effectiveness of your support with a single roll, while you three essentially manage the tactics and get your hands dirty when you feel like it is necessary.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be wasting any of my 4 arrows I have left,
Right.
or any ammunition from my machine pistol until they're on us.
In the building.
Yeah, but
So
I
you're in
can
the
be
lobby.
walking back and forth along the line, giving commands about when to fire or when to hold or other stuff like that to just try to make them as maximally effective as they can be.
Sure. Absolutely.
yeah.
So, and Jenny, are you just going to shoot until you don't have any more shots?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep shooting. It has a lot of force and power, so I think that could freak people out a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Watching
Wow,
someone, yeah.
Coming out of there.
And
Yeah.
Chateau?
I'm specifically aiming for anyone who looks important. I'm aware that. Do I know Kalarm? Like what I know a lot of things are happening here, but would I have any reasonable expectation of knowing his face if I saw it?
I think you would.
Okay.
I think you would know him if you saw him.
Well, I fully expect he took his helmet off because he's not stupid.
Right.
But I'm killing everybody that looks important. So even if they don't have a helmet on, if I see them like, like I'm aiming at those people.
And I'm actually aiming for the bigger people. Anyone who looks like I don't
Armored.
want to go toe to toe with you,
Yeah.
hand to hand. Like I
You're
like
going
those.
after the beefy melee
I'm
guys.
going
Right.
after those people.
Or
yeah.
basically the best armored.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's begin this siege. I already rolled. You all rolled for what your actions are here. Let's roll for the effectiveness of your militia. All right? Who would like to roll for the effectiveness of the militia?
Lucky
Lucky Jenny.
All right, let's do this. Oh man,
That's not so lucky.
74.
So 74, I think it's fair to say that that initial volley probably only took out around 5 or 10. So let's round it off to 7.
Well, I got the pipe bomb.
So in this next round, which is now, you can see that people, they are firing back.
Right.
Because they obviously have guns as well.
Right. We're all under at least some cover, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're in our stronghold, which has a structure of 50.
Right.
Okay.
And they fired into your building with a 7.
Ooh.
So you hear as peppering fire starts to lay out, as you see that people are fired straight into the windows. Without any reservation, they are just going in there. In fact, at some point when you see one man get close enough, you watch as a dark shape just is lobbed up into one of the windows. And moments later you hear a boom, 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 as shrapnel is just thrown out, and concrete and glass and everything just falls down, and you see a significant amount of your force has been reduced I would say 25%.
I want to use this pipe bomb.
On the next round?
Yeah.
What's your throwing like? Because our throwing arm can't.
My throw's 34.
It's a 42.
I mean, we probably
Mine's
want to wait until
35.
there's more of a mass, like on the front.
Isn't there a
closer.
mass? Like, aren't
Oh,
they?
they're
Aren't
rushing.
they all
I mean, if they're
there?
close enough to throw a
rushing
grenade
us.
at us, we're throwing enough close enough to throw a pipe bomb at
Excellent
them.
Absolutely.
Point. Excellent
Yeah.
point.
Cool. I light it because I have a lighter. I light it
Yeah, you do.
and I throw it into the.
He watches it tumbles down as it kind of bounces off the building for a second and gives itself a little bit of an arc coming down. Ooh, well done.
Well done. Well done.
You throw it down as it tumbles down. I rolled a 12. So as it rolls down and it tumbles down, as it comes around, they see the thing fall, and a large portion of them are able to just jump out of the way in time for an explosion to boom, rock the front of the gate. It does absolutely maim and kill some. It does, just not as many as you had hoped for.
How many?
How many?
About 10%. Which would be
10 to 11 guys? Yeah, right.
I feel like a shockwave on that would just knock people off their feet.
oh yeah, knock people off their feet as well too.
Right. Hey, we're down 2 digits though.
Cool. Okay.
I continue shooting.
Yeah. Continue shooting.
All right. Both of you can take your cursory shots. I'm going to roll a breach check for the front of the gate. No. So as you feel this mass press against the front door of the government building, you hear boom, as basically, Wraith, you can see that the barricades that you've lined up in front of the doors are pushing, but the wood is holding.
Yeah, there's a lot of desks and stuff.
A lot of desks
Piled up in front of it.
and you guys have literally reinforced with huge long screws
Yeah.
straight into the wall, straight into the door. It's going to take a lot of force.
I want to go to some of the area that was hit by the blast, and without exposing myself to any eye lines of anybody outside, I want to search for anybody who is wounded but not killed, to try to pull them to safety deeper into the mansion, and potentially where this doc can, our doctor guy can,
You
or
start
medic can try to do
pulling
triage
the
on them.
wounded out. Anyone who has any kind of moan or cry of pain, you grab and you pull out into the hallways of the main building and call for the medic as much as you can. So
2 degrees of failure. So if I'm able to resolve it this way, I'm just so frustrated as I bring this gun up, and it jams when I try and fire it, and I just can't.
that's fine. So the bullets, so no shots this
Yeah,
round.
no
You're gonna have to take a
shots.
round. You're going to take a success to clear it,
Yeah.
you know?
14 points on somebody.
That will drop them out of combat without any worry.
Okay. We're in for a long day if I can kill them one at a time. I'm all like, woo!
Jenny, you are frustratingly trying to clear your 30-06 as you are pulling this, and you're trying to get this bullet out as it's attempted to go through the chamber, but it didn't actually go through the chamber. And you're attempting to push it as it's falling out. And at that moment, you see some movement to your right. And you see something on the freeway. Make a spot listen check.
Okay. It's a wash.
Wash.
Yeah.
So as you have this moment where you're frustratingly clearing, you do see some movement. Something is moving fast. 2 horses literally galloping down the freeway at full tilt as you see something moving across Route 84 heading south into the city. Are you looking at it through your scope?
Yeah, I want to look at it through my scope.
As you look deeper into the scope, you can see 3 people riding on horseback. 2 people deep, the other one riding solo. One has a long flowing skirt, and you can see familiar clothing as you're watching both Band-Aid and Ray riding across the bridge
Okay.
into the city.
Okay. I immediately swing back into the window, and I'm just like, Wraith! Wraith!
I'm dragging a body to
And at that moment, you hear a gunshot ring out. And that's the end of our story.